Hello, my name is Fiona Watts and I am going to step you through the Moodle marking workflow for the TAE project. We're using a feature in Moodle which is called marker allocation. And so this is a little different to what some of you may have used in the past. Now to get started, you click on the assessment upload area. This brings you to a screen which shows you an overall summary of what is happening in this space. You click on View All Submissions. Once you have done this, scroll right to the bottom of the table. You will have a number of things displayed for you. We're going to filter down to only those that you need to be marking and perhaps even those that require grading beyond everything else. So if I open this up and say there's no marker filter and no filter, note that my view will change. I'll see a lot more. So head to the bottom of the table, come to the marker filter and find your own name and click your name. This will display a table of only those students where you have been assigned as the marker/assessor. Another filter you may choose to use is to show only those that require grading. And a third filter that may be of use to you for navigation is to limit the number of assignments per page to 10 or 20, but this is a personal preference and adjust this to suit your own style. Displayed for me now is my test student that I'm going to go through this workflow for you with. Now there's actually two methods you can use to view and grade a student's submissions. The first option is what I call offline. So by that I mean in the column where the word select heads up, there's a little box right next to your student's details. When I click it, it goes an alternate color. If you come down under the table with selected, you can download selected submissions and hit go. Confirm that you do want to download. This creates a zip file for you that then holds all of the documents that the student has submitted in relation to this unit for marking. The second option for grading is to choose to do it all online, and this works on a number of devices. So if you follow your eye across to the column that says grade and hit the blue grade button, this takes you to a display screen where you can actually view all submissions that this student has created. If you're actually struggling to see the most recent submission, be aware that down the bottom here, there is the option to view a different attempt. And because I have been playing with this as a test student, you'll see that I've got lots and lots of attempts, which shows you that Moodle will allow you to move through a number of attempts. On the top left-hand side of the screen is your navigation to move between the pages of whatever your student has submitted for you. You've also got an editing toolbar which allows you to mark in line for that student to provide comments and feedback actually on the document that they have submitted for you. The next step for you is to come down here. Now the first thing that gets presented to you is grade, and it says no grade, and a decision is to be made whether they're competent or not competent. Now be aware you're only going to click this once you are ready to make a competency decision. So you may go through a grading workflow a number of times with your individual student before you actually come to the point and make a competency decision. In the workflow state, there's a number of options. We're only going to use 3 of them. The first one by default that will be shown is the not marked, which says, no, I haven't got to marking this student yet. Once you've entered the marking workflow, You can alert the team leaders and the student that you are in the process of marking an assessment by selecting the in-marking workflow state. The final one that you'll be using is this released option. And that basically means you have read through the student submission, you've got some feedback either via comments or files, and you're going to release it to the student to either add more submissions or submit a second attempt. In the feedback comments section, you place whatever feedback comments that you feel are appropriate to guide that student towards what you need to see in their next submission. Also, if they have satisfactorily finished a section, to notify them. So for example, if they've submitted their knowledge questions first and these are now at a point that you are satisfied, let them know that knowledge questions are now complete. Please move on to project 1, 2, or 3. And the feedback files allow you to add the files associated with this project and any other feedback files. If you use the offline grading option, you may have documents that you've written on, that you've scanned back in, or that you've marked some other way and need to provide back to the student. And this is the place that you will do that with your student. You can either drag and drop depending on your browser. And the other way that you can add a file is by clicking the little paper clip, choosing a file, and then selecting that file for upload, and that will come in as feedback for your student. Just going to swap so that you can see the release section. So feedback comments, feedback files, then you will get to choose whether you are going to allow another attempt. So in most cycles, I suspect there'll be a few attempts allowed. So the answer will be yes. Students will automatically be notified. I've got to turn that off because I'm working with a test student, but you can leave that on. Your students will be notified that they have been given feedback and potentially feedback files, or a competency decision when you've made that, and you can save changes. So that immediately notifies the student that they have feedback ready to be received from you, and if they need to have another attempt, then it gives them the option to have another attempt. I'm just going to drag across this student and what they now see so that you can close the loop in your mind about how this works. So the student can see that it's been reopened by you. It's released for them to either add a new attempt based on a previous submission or add a complete new attempt. It doesn't really matter. You can navigate either way depending on what that student picks. We are advising them to add a new attempt based on a previous submission. And then they can see the whole chain of information and decision making that has happened between you and them. They will see all the feedback that you have provided them, any feedback files that you've provided them. They'll see who it's been graded by, and if you have a profile picture, they'll see a lovely picture of you. The timing of that particular cycle, and the files that they themselves submitted. And you can work your way through the attempts. So that is how the student sees it. You can then move back to your URL that you saved previously and continue to grade future students. Thanks for listening.